Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new Starfield video. Feels like it's been a minute since we've said that. So, earlier in the year, Bethesda did drop hints that the ball was rolling along with updates for Starfield, and we were going to be getting new updates and fixes and improvements, and ultimately a new expansion DLC type deal later on in the year. And the first one of these in quite some time is now in beta, which is to say it's a relatively small update. So, honestly, probably not the most exciting thing in history. It's got some stuff that has the potential to be kind of nice quality of life stuff in it, for those who use mods anyway. And quite a few bug fixes down here as well. Again, not massively exciting. So what I'm going to do, take a look at some of this and pick out some of the things that are most interesting to me. And I'll link the whole article down below if you want to check it out and you can have a look in more detail. So, first up, Starfield's new update is in beta on Steam, so if you want to check it out inside the next fortnight or so, then you'll need to be on Steam while it's in the beta period anyway, and then obviously it will come out in full release probably in a couple of weeks. Kind of surprised it didn't make more noise about this really, but just what it is. So yeah, a little bit of detail there if you want to check it out. If you are on Steam, open your Steam library, navigate to Starfield, right-click on Starfield and select Properties, and in the pop-up window, select Betas and opt into the beta, and you'll get a little update, and you'll be able to check out the new changes. As I say, not humongously exciting, really. So, the big feature stuff is really tied to the creation kit. They've added a very low display settings option to improve performance on some devices. Really underpowered devices in particular. So, there's that. I can't imagine it looks fantastic, but, Windows very low ever look fantastic. And the rest of the stuff is really creation kit, well, mods stuff, to be concise about it. So first up there is the ability for creators to add new icons into the game, which surprisingly couldn't do that already. Maybe there's a workaround, I don't know. But if they want to add new things with unique appearances on the map and the like, that should be quite helpful. Creation Store now supports bundling creations, which doesn't sound massively exciting unless you look at creators creating a number of mods that perhaps go together, particularly, for example, building stuff, and, give you a whole load of new things to add to your outposts and the like. If somebody's got multiple mods that add different sets of stuff, bundling all that together and allowing you to just grab all of them is convenient. And I'm sure there are others who can think of more imaginative ways to use that than I can, but there you go. The other interesting point is creations will be able to be larger, so mod creators will now be able to upload mods of sizes up to 2 gigabytes, which is at least a fairly considerable increase over what was available before. So 2 gigs is a pretty substantial size for a single mod, especially on Bethesda's own site and therefore on the Xbox side of things as well. So that's a fairly big step in the direction of adding some interesting stuff potentially as well. So hopefully we'll be seeing some cool stuff added in that regard on down the line. So the rest of this is bug fixes, and we have quite a bit down here, a respectable amount. Given the amount of time between updates, maybe we'd like to see this list be a little bit longer. But let's pick out some of the more interesting bits and pieces if we can. So we've got a few control lock issues here that are being fixed for specific situations. So if you run into those, you might want to have a gander at that. Fix an issue that could prevent exiting Vanity Camera on PC. Fix a possible crash related to moving or removing buildings at the main outpost on Andrathon. Okay, very specific, but fix a rare crash that could occur when entering the Unity. So Starfield's big old built-in New Game Plus type mechanic. You don't really want crashes while that's going on. That could cause all manner of issues, potentially with corruption and stuff. So, yeah, that's good. And some UI improvements and general crash and stability stuff. Fair enough. The gameplay stuff is not massively exciting. Space Adept Legendary Effect no longer has a negative modifier for terrestrial damage, so that's actually being changed to make it slightly more viable. Previously, that was, a 20%, if I remember correctly, nerf when you were on a planet to a weapon's damage output, and then a 20% buff, so potentially a 40% swing, when you are in space. Now that nerf is not going to be there anymore, and it will just be the flat amount of damage on a planet, basically as if it wasn't legendary, and if you use it in space, it'll get a buff. Still not particularly exciting. There are better legendary effects in Starfield, but nonetheless, makes that one slightly less onerous than it was. Fixed a rare issue that could impact items displayed in the Razor Leaf. So I know a lot of people do like to run a modified version of the Razor Leaf. So yeah, your displays hopefully should have slightly fewer issues than before. It's a little vague, that, but still, not such a bad thing. Addressed an issue where dropped items could lose their stolen status. So that fixes an exploit that... I get it, but at the same time, this is a single-player game. I don't really think that was necessary to fix. So, and I do speak from a certain amount of self-interest because I have taken advantage of this on occasion. You could take an item into your inventory, steal it in the game, and go somewhere, anywhere you like, just drop it onto the floor, and then pick it back up again, and it wouldn't be stolen anymore. It would be yours to keep. One example of my using that would be New Atlantis security uniforms, the police uniform on New Atlantis. I definitely used it to take advantage of that because I wanted to use that for some of the missions that you do for them and run around in that uniform. But there aren't really a whole lot of those available for that don't involve stealing it, so that's a little unfortunate. Yeah, I fully suspect there'll be mods to get around that before long if there aren't already anyway. Okay, so they've added 32:9 and 32:10 resolutions, as well as more options for 16:9, 16:10 and 21:9. So that's interesting. So yeah, more oddball monitor sizes are supported, which is always good. A little performance issue related to a frame rate drop when opening the scanner on long play sessions. That's definitely nice. And celestial bodies should now remain visible in the sky after entering and exiting an interior. There are a number of quest changes here, which may or may not affect specific individuals, so you might want to take a look at that specifically, but yeah, there's some fairly significant ones there. Most of these are actually attached to sort of side quests or newer sort of post-launch content, so that's interesting. But yeah, I want to have a look at that. Some location fixes. If you have the New Atlantis penthouse, mannequins will now persist as intended. Players should be able to modify shelves and cabinets in the core manner in Aquila City. So if you've got that house, you should be able to tweak the stuff on your shelves. That's nice. A whole bunch of UI bits and pieces, some of it relating to Shipbuilder. I know a lot of people like the Shipbuilder in Starfield, so those will probably be nice little adjustments. Updated the names of empty ship modules. Interesting. Make them a bit clearer to understand what's going on, I guess. I would assume. Got a few little adjustments to vehicle stuff, specifically relating to your, your drivable. So you can now change the keyboard binding if you're on PC for the boost button. That's nice. The marker will appear on your compass to show you where your vehicle is, which is helpful because, yeah, especially if you're doing something like the temples and you emerge from them, spotting where you left your car can be a little difficult on occasion. So having a well, actually, you could use your scanner, but having a compass marker does just streamline that a little bit, I think. Resolved a camera issue that could occur for players with maxed out surveying skill, presumably when in a vehicle. Improved logic for exiting the vehicle when partially obstructed, so you should have a better chance of getting out when you're next to a rock or something, or a tree. Vehicle will now deploy at landing locations other than spaceports or landing pads. Now, this is a little vague and not that well expressed. Rev 8, that's the name of that thing that I couldn't remember after a few months. A vehicle deploying at different locations other than spaceports and landing pads. I assume what this is supposed to say, not having tested it and not having the storage space at the moment to reinstall, I'm guessing it's trying to say that the vehicles will no longer deploy at spaceports and landing pads, which is a good thing because they were deploying in annoying places and being more of a problem. And driving them around in cities isn't a good idea anyway, so it's probably for the best if they don't deploy there and it just deploys out on wider planets and stuff like that. One exception that springs to mind, though, is Mars when you are on the landing pad at Cydonia, because there's a whole area around there you might want to explore, and there are quests and stuff that send you out and about. So having the Rev 8 there is particularly handy. So I hope that one is excluded from this change, because that's somewhere I would like to see it stay. Also, the landing pad at Cydonia is so darn humongous, especially compared to everything else, that there's actually much more room for the vehicle to spawn on it without it being a problem, so that's helpful. There are a few changes here to Shattered Space, some of them visual, some of them performance-rated, some of them weapon-related. There's a couple of things here that should respond slightly differently if you are on a new game. Plus, one of the new weapons will now do headshot damage, some visual fixes here and there. addressed an issue with buttons on the lift on the morning level in Dazra. So yeah, lifts should function properly. So yeah, there we go. Not a massive list of changes. There's a few other bits and pieces in there, but it's bug fixes. They're not usually that exciting. There are a couple of significant points in there that are perhaps worth mentioning. So I will link this list of changes in the description of the video if you want to have a peruse for yourself, or you can find it over on Bethesda's website if you prefer to do that. And yeah, good to see we're starting to get some additions to Starfield now, and yeah, laying the groundwork presumably for the fact that there will be a DLC of some description that we know nothing about other than the fact it's happening later on this year. So looking forward to seeing more of that. But hope you guys enjoyed getting a little update after a long hiatus there on Starfield. If you like the video, please consider dropping subs and likes and hitting that notification bell. I will bring you any further news as and when we get it. Social media links down in the description if you want to check those out, and channel memberships on the blue join button if you'd like to support the channel. I really, really appreciate that. Massive thank you to everyone who's done that. Of course, if you'd like to as well, we are live streaming too. We're playing Fallout 76, our usual game of choice. And we've also got the Oblivion remake on the go at the moment, and a whole bunch of other bits and pieces as well that are on the go and lined up for coming weeks and months and stuff as well. So if you want something to watch, plenty to keep you busy. For now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.